In our theatres around the country, Frank Delaney goes to the Theatre Royal in Norwich to meet the extraordinary man who runs it, Dick Condon. When he took over the theatre in 1972, he refused a full salary, saying he would rather take a share of the profits, which was rather difficult because the theatre was £27,000 in deficit at the time. Well, his decision marked his total confidence in success. It was justified because within 3 months he had turned that massive deficit into profit, and it's now the most successful theatre of its kind in Europe.
It's the greatest show on earth in Norwich.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Theatre Royal. Yes, nice to see your happy, smiling faces here at Britain's Premier Theatre tonight. And we have a show for you. Have we got a show for you? You bet we have.
Get the people in off the streets. That's Richard Condon's basic principle.
How about you, darling? Don't go without one. Don't be without one.
And like a carnival barker, he hustles them in and chats them up.
Members tonight from the royal family here. Greetings. Greetings. I hope that you're looking after the corgis. Now listen, if you're genuinely members of the royal family, can you give me a little royal wave? No, not all together. Can you just do it one by one? That's right.
In his 12 years as manager here, Dick Condon has turned this staid old theatre upside down.
Well, I first of all went out into the community to try and establish precisely what they thought of the theatre, and I conducted a small survey at Debenhams, about 200 yards down the street, asking 10 people where the Theatre Royal was, and only 2 out of that 10 knew where the building was. So I really understood that, first of all, there was an identity problem. Very few people were interested or knew of the theatre, and that was the first one I had to tackle, to make people aware of it, to establish the theatre as an important social and cultural centre and a place of entertainment. Fun was a word I used. So I took a full-page, 4-colour advertisement, the very first full-page, 4-colour advertisement that the local newspaper had ever printed, and for which we won an award that particular year. And I believe that that helped to establish the theatre in its rightful position, because then the words I used on the advert were your Theatre Royal. I actually wanted to give the theatre back to its people, because for some time I got the impression when I arrived that it was a haven for the elite rather than an everyman theatre. And I've always held the belief that the theatre should be for every man.
When you arrived here as general manager and came into the theatre on the first day, how did you find the place around you? What did it look like?
It was very clinical. As a matter of fact, I remember cracking a gag to the man who showed me around the building. I said, "Where's Dr. Kildare?" And he said, "Doctor who?" I said, "Dr. Kildare." I said, "This is an operating theatre." I said, "This is not a performing theatre." And it had that. It was a beautiful building, very clean, pristine condition, but absolutely lacking in atmosphere. So I had to set about structuring an atmosphere where people could feel relaxed, providing soft chairs and comfortable positions, and a cozy atmosphere by using the walls and decorating them and blending in the edges and softening the whole place.
Sometimes you'd swear he was back in Ireland running a pub, but mine host merely extended the idea. A theatre, too, is a place where people gather to enjoy themselves. And along with the dramatic offerings, he included food and drink, and he practically made them enjoy it.
Can I help you, sir? Pint of Guinness, Chateau Liffey, best in town. Comes up with a cream head on it. Would you like one with an archbishop's collar on it?
Hierarchies disappeared, though, when Condon took over. He doesn't even have an office. He sits down among the takings at the centre of things.
Oh, Bobby. Light of my life. What have you got there?
That's today.
That's today? I had to convince them that things were going to be much better for them under my regime. And all my time for about 6 months was spent telling them that things would be better. It was almost like a political campaign run at a pretty low level to ensure that the message finally got through. In fact, they now laugh in a derisory fashion at the regime that they had to work under in past years. You must be slaving away with your phone.
Yeah, you know I am.
Good. Oh, well, Bobby, the overtime is a good compensation.
Absolutely.
Although it's nice to actually see the figures rise.
Yes.
It's all about rising figures one way and another. Showbiz figures bring in the other kind, and the manager meets them all. Tony Britton, here on a provincial tour with Angela Douglas and Adrian Poster. And Norwich is one venue they like playing.
And it's like a centre meeting place for everybody. You see them coming and meeting their sisters and their aunts, and they can have a drink or a meal or see what's coming. It's like it's a centre for the people. It's nice. It's what the theatre should be about. It's for the people. We're here because they're here. If they weren't here, we wouldn't have a job.
And the thing that Dick's done in this theatre is to make everyone feel welcome. You don't have to talk posh. You don't have to dress posh.
Some
just
people are
come
very in awe
and
of the
take
live
part.
theatre, aren't they? They think,
Yes,
oh,
they are. But
that's live theatre.
Dick's getting hold of that and bashing it on the head and saying, no, come on, everyone. Theatre's for everyone.
I just see the public as being a great group of people who have an appetite for entertainment and who want to be entertained and are quite happy to pay for it to see that particular type of entertainment which they're interested in. I mean, it never comes down to a principle of saying this is good and that's bad. And neither would I ever put myself in a position of deciding that this is good for the public and this is bad for the public. I just want to put on entertainment.
The show must go on, even though Dick Condon doesn't actually go into the auditorium to vet what he calls the product. He believes that what he is an entertainer whose business is show business. This principle comes into its own once a year during the lavish pantomime season, which he masterminds.
Come, let me show you this. This is the magical world of pantomime all over again.
What are these, the props for your pantos?
Yes, all the props that we make are here, and they're stored here from one end of the year to the other.
That's a wonderful egg.
That's fantastic. That's out of the Mother Goose pantomime, and of course it opens. We had a spectacular finale to the end of Act 1, when Kathy Staff, who was playing Mother Goose, was seated there in a beautiful costume. And the train of it, when she stepped out, was lifted by several dancers, and it filled the entire stage.
Wonderful reaction from the kids, I suppose.
Fantastic, of
Are they different? Are children a different audience? Are there hidden pitfalls that you don't have with adult audiences?
Well, I think they're very intelligent, first of all. They're very slick. They're on the ball much quicker than anybody else.
And you can't play down to them, I believe.
No, why should you? Because it's frequently their first visit to a theatre, and you want to make it as spectacular and as real and as exciting, and we do. We succeed in all those things. And when they go away, we just hope that they'll be back again, and that's the basis upon which we have built the Theatre Royal, serving the young people best.
Yes.
And the young people of today are our adult audience of tomorrow, so it has served us very well.
Is it difficult to keep them in their seats?
Not at all, with one exception. When you put on a high-pitched soprano singer and she hits the high notes, that automatically works on their kidney functions.
Oh, yeah?
And, of course, they all want to get up from the seats and race to the loo. And, of course, if it happens that you put on the singer at the wrong time, then you miss the ice cream sales because they're all queued up in the loo and they don't get back to buy the ice cream.
Is this an Irish story, dear?
No, it's all strategically operated. It's a fine art, and we refined it even further. Come and let me show you some more. The great thing about pantomime is, of course, the opportunity it provides for children's participation. Yes, he did, no, he didn't. That's the great thing they love about it.
Don't tell me, let me guess. That's a pantomime horse.
Yes, you're spot on. And this is the Cinderella coach. We decided that we had such magnificent costumes for the production of Cinderella. They came from the film The Slipper and the Rose, and this year it's down in Swansea. And we created this coach so that the magnificent costume worn by Cinderella when she goes to the ball could be fully seen. Normally, they use a coach which is enclosed.
Yes.
And that takes away and detracts quite a lot.
All bulbs, all lit up.
Yes. When this is seen behind the gauze, it takes the form of a pumpkin. And when you fill the stage with dry ice, covering the pony's legs, and then lift the gauze in front, the movement of air causes the dry ice to disappear.
It's actually sprung?
Absolutely. Well, we go to a lot of trouble to make all our props.
You make them all here?
Yes, some of the best people in the country are involved at the Theatre Royal here.
This year you have Goldilocks and the Three Bears. What kind of technology have you got planned for that?
Well, we're going to introduce lasers in this year's pantomime, which will allow us to divide the stage by a screen of light. And that's the first time, to my knowledge, that it will have been used here in Britain.
Good Lord, you mean like a hologram or something?
Absolutely. And we'll be able to project the next scene with a laser effect onto that screen of light.
How much does a production like that cost?
About £360,000 to £380,000.
And do you recoup that?
Yes.
that plus a little bit more, because it's only through the successful operation and presentation of pantomime that we're able to operate in profit through the rest of the year.
Profit, that's the key word. Every available wall and floor space is used up to feed the profit motive to keep the theatre alive and healthy. The poster shop is a good example of this. Not only does it produce all the theatre's own publicity, it seeks contracts from outside in the town, thereby drawing Norwich further into Richard Condon's scheme of things.
And then Molly calls him very strongly.
Joseph Andrews, it's me, Molly.
He comes across and he says, Molly, takes her hand and says, Molly, where have you come from?
Purists complain that Condon never puts on new plays by new writers, never emphasizes the art of the theatre. But, another public participation, he does have a teaching workshop. £27 for a 10-week course, and you can learn how to act, direct, produce, professionally supervised.
Takes his hand, pulls him up. Fanny, on the other hand, sees him and says, no, Joseph, it's me.
Joseph, it's me, Fanny.
Joseph says, Fanny. Fanny who? No, he says Fanny.
A theatrical marketplace, sound and established. That's what Richard Condon set out to do in Norwich. He argued, why shouldn't a theatre too be independent and successful? And he's turned the theatre in Cromer round in the same way, and the one in Great Yarmouth. Part of his own incentive is financial. Like any showman, he's on a percentage. But there's more to him than that. There must be. His energy is demonic. He works from dawn till midnight. He's had cancer twice. What drives him? What's he looking for?
I give it everything. I make the job actually my life. And I go from bed to work and from work to bed.
Do you take holidays?
No. I have never taken a holiday for the last 15, 16 years.
Well, why do you drive yourself like this? What's the motivation?
The motivation is to try and do the best possible job that I can, because I want to make sure that what I'm involved in is successful. There's no other remedy for it. I just need success, I require success, and I'm prepared to put everything in to ensure that success will spin off for the theatre and for everybody else who works in it.
And how long have you been driving yourself like this?
Oh, about 25, 30 years.
And 12 years here?
12 years in Norwich.
Don't you have regrets at all?
Yes, I suppose unfulfilled ambitions would be a better way of putting it. Yes, I feel that having dedicated my life to the theatre, there are things I've missed out on, of course. Such things like being married, having a family home, having children. These are things that one misses. But like everything else in life, you make your choice. And I would prefer to have things differently, and perhaps I will have the opportunity of putting it right. But I feel that it's very difficult to serve, as it were, God and man at the same time. You've got to be single-minded about what you're doing. I am single-minded, and until I'm able to get off the treadmill or the loop that I'm on at the moment and divert into another channel, I suppose I'll have to just put up with having the regrets that one has.
One last question. When I look at what you've been doing here, and when I hear you discussing it, the words show business come to mind, but with emphasis on business rather than show. Is that the way you see it?
Well, I think it's an equally combined word. I think it's one word made up of two. I think you've got the show, which is very important, because let's face it, that's what people come to see. They come to see a show. But you've got to have the business balance in it to make sure that you're in a position to continue having a show. Because if you go out of business, there's no show. If you don't have a show, there's no business. So they're equally important. And I think it's a very happy blend of two magical words, two words that mean magic to me. I love the show and I adore the business. And when they come together, I'm very happy.
Good evening, my love. How are you? You see that? I always extend the hand of friendship to the hand that's holding the money.